Once you get to the point of deciding on which logo you think has the most potential, now we're going to start experimenting with colors. You're going to want to go back in and look at the psychology of color materials that I gave you to determine, is there one or two of the words that you have identified as descriptors of yourself? Do you have a color that's associated with that you like? So for example, here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new artboard in this existing document. So I'm just going to start to drag. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size over here on the width. And it's going to really vary. Actually, you know what? Let's skip that part. Let's just go ahead and make this a little bit smaller because I already kind of know how big my logo is. So I'm going to take this logo right here. I'm going to make that my main one that I'm going to work with. A little bit bigger and kind of fill this in. Now yours might be more rectangular, so you may end up having an artboard that's longer. That's totally fine. But what I'm going to do is this. Once you have it set up and you've got it pretty much centered within your artboard, what you're going to do is you're going to make multiple duplicates of this. So you're going to do this. You're going to hold down the Option key on a Mac, Control key, or sorry, Option on the Mac or Alt on the PC. And what I'm going to do with the Artboard tool is I'm going to select those. I'm going to make copies. Going to take my Artboard tool again, click on each one of these artboards, hold down my Option key and duplicate. And I'm going to do that one more time. So this is the minimum that you're going to do. It's not uncommon for students to end up having a whole lot more than just those. But we're going to start with this. We're going to start initially with your black and white version. You're going to take your text tool right here, and you're going to, depending on the size of your document, you may have to zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger. What we're going to do is we're going to make several different color schemes on each one of these. So the first one is going to be complementary. And tertiary. Spelled that right. I'll have to double check the spelling on that. All right. So what you're going to do with this is you are going to leave this one black and white. You're going to choose the color, one of the colors that you think you want to use most that ties in with the color psychology of something that represents something about you. I'll give the bell a second to finish ringing. So, for example, if you decide the color that I want to use that most represents something about me, my vibrancy, my passion, I'm going to use a red, and I'm going to go back in and choose my red. I'm going to use that as my red. Now what I need to do is I need to start messing around with other colors that will work as complementary colors. So a couple different ways to do this. You could go back into the materials that I provided that shows the definition of what each one of these are, or you can click on the original color you chose, and over here on your color guide, it should have the colors selected. You can then click on the drop-down rule for the harmony, and you can see there are a lot of different pieces set up for complementary, for analogous. For the tertiary, you're going to do that. It's going to be triad. You can do those. And then let's try this. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. I like that one. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to choose that green on this one. I'm going to do that lighter green and that one. Then I may go into my appearance if I've got a border set up. Back over here to the harmony rules. Clicking back on the main color, making that active will bring back these colors. Now, if you decide, hey, I just want to go ahead and add these to my swatches, when this is here and you have this set up, you can click on that button right there and it will automatically create a folder that has all of them. So same kind of thing here when you get down to the analogous ones. So this one is going to be my complementary. For my analogous, I might decide, the other color that represented something about me, about my characteristic, was something in the blues, in this teal color. And then I can come up to my color guide. And I can decide, okay, I want to do analogous colors. So I'm going to go ahead and choose my analogous. And I'm going to click on add to my swatches. And now there's my analogous colors. So now I can start to experiment with which things do I want to do here. And I can do the same thing with my appearance ones. The reason I wanted to put those in as swatches is now when I go into adjust the color and I click on it, there's my swatches panel. So now I can go in and experiment more with these. Interesting. Okay. And then you're going to do, let's go ahead and just call this triad instead of tertiary. And then there's one other required, and the rest are up to you to decide how to create the color schemes. And it's this last one right here that is going to be your monochromatic. Monochromatic, again, remember, is you choose one color, and then from there, you're going to do tints and shades of it. So if I came back here and decided I want to use that blue, I was talking about my compassion. Didn't actually want to do it there. I wanted to do it here. Then for the monochromatic, I would choose my color guide. Go to monochromatic. I'm going to go ahead and add those in. And again, repeat the same process. Kind of go through and decide which ones do I want. And now if you don't like those exact colors, that's totally fine. You can come in here, go back to your color guide, and you've got your shades and tints already built in. So now I could decide, you know what, I actually want to lighten that up just a little bit more. On this one, I'm going to grab that, but I want to use a lighter version, a tint of that. And you can go in and experiment with those. So the required ones are this. I want a black and white version. I want a complementary color, an analogous color, a triad color, and a monochromatic color. The rest of these are totally up to you to decide how do you want to create the color schemes. But the dominant focus, again, should be from the identifying your strengths and characteristics. You found 3 words to represent you. Your goal is to try to find a color that matches up with at least one of those words, if not more, but still visually looks interesting. If you're getting to a point where you're like, I don't know what other color schemes to potentially even use, what you can do is right here under color themes. So I went to window and color themes. You have a color wheel generator right here. And if you decide you like these colors, oof, not digging that, you can click on add to swatches. You can also use sliders to do it, although I think that's a little bit trickier. This will give you lighter colors, darker colors, or you can go to explore. And these are ones that are online. So these are ones that other people have chosen or posted. And you might find some in here where you're like, oh, I like that. I'm going to click on it. That's activating the individual color. Or you can add them to your swatches. So when I move my mouse over it and I did the eyedropper, notice that became the active color. So if I don't want to load up the swatches, I don't have to. But if I do, I can just do add to swatches and it'll add them all in there. So the goal is for the color portion of this one, I want to be able to see that you've got your black and white, the 4 required, and then the rest of these are up to you. But try experimenting and make sure that you are associating at least one of the colors with one of the words based on color psychology.